All right, guys. So our next topic here takes us to another potentially very expensive and successful, maybe the next Game of Thrones show kind of deal here, and that is the Last of Us TV series that is coming to HBO Max. So, I mean, if anyone could make a Game of Thrones show or a Game of Thrones replacement show or Game of Thrones type show in popularity and quality, it'd be HBO because they did it the first time. But with this Last of Us series, it has a lot of promise because they not too long ago we had news that the Mandalorian himself, Pedro Pascal, was cast to play Joel in the titular role, and then what's her name again? I forget her name. The girl who was from Game of Thrones.
Bella Ramsey.
Is that her name?
It says that on the
Oh, does it say it in the
yeah.
article that I'm like looking at right now? That's great. So yeah, she was Lady Mormont, the kid one in the if you're familiar with Game of Thrones, and she was great in that. She's playing Ellie. So, but now we have some news of Joel's brother Tommy is going to be played by Gabriel Luna, which he was most recently he was in the Terminator Dark Fate film. He played the Terminator, and then he was Ghost Rider in Agents of Shield, which he was really the only good part of Agents of Shield. Like he was like I actually started watching again once they had Ghost Rider in there because like I liked it. It was good for a little bit. It didn't end up lasting too long. They were actually going to be giving him his own Ghost Rider series on Hulu, and that got canned. So that was kind of disappointing because I liked his Ghost Rider character and I liked the actor. So I think this is good news. It's never a bad idea to add talent to something. I think he's talented. He was great as a Terminator. So Rick, you're a fan of the Terminator series, right?
Oh yeah.
What do you
Yeah.
think about the Gabriel? Are you familiar with Last of Us though? What do you
I
think
remember
about?
you playing it back in the day. I think it's cool. I mean, like I like Pedro Pascal, so that'll be cool to see him again. But I don't know. Like I don't really know much about it other than it's like a post-apocalyptic sort of thing, and I don't know. I don't know if it could be on the same level as like Game of Thrones, like success-wise, but who knows? I don't know much about it, so
I don't know about success wise, but because it has to grab the general audience's attention for it to be
yeah.
as successful as Game of Thrones, and this type of movie is a very genre movie,
Oh
or
yeah.
this show rather is a very. Even though I guess arguably you could say so is Lord of the Rings, right? Or not Lord of the Rings, but Game of Thrones. It's it's a fantasy kind of thing, but it was a very grounded kind of fantasy thing. It was mostly political. I
Yeah.
think that's why most people probably were able to like attached
Understand
to
it.
that show.
Yeah.
It was very character driven. Like the only magical thing they really ever had on screen were the dragons. Like that
Yeah.
was
And the
pretty
Night
much it.
King.
Yeah, and but even both of those things were pretty sparse for most of the series.
Yeah.
Like in the later series, they were or later episodes, they were in there a little bit more, but for the most part, it was pretty much just drama.
Yeah.
Which is great though. Totally worked. I love Game of Thrones. It was fantastic, but the Last of Us series is very similar in that vein, where it is primarily a character-driven story, and you're just kind of in the world. Like, I mean, it's very much just a game. It's a very cinematic game, and everyone loves the games for the story. So I think it has the potential. I think the biggest hurdle it's going to have as far as like catching the global audience like Game of Thrones did is just like the specific type of like post-apocalyptic zombie kind of world doesn't always grab people, and we're coming off the heels of Walking Dead, which has kind of really tired people out, I think, like the majority of people. 'Cause that started off for a while as like it was huge, everybody liked it, and then it just kind of like no one talks about it anymore. And this being a very similar style show to that, I don't know if it's gonna help or hurt it. So, John, what are your thoughts on this after my big ramble there about it?
Yeah, I was just gonna say that kind of you just touched on it in there. Like I think the better comp to this would be The Walking Dead, um, just because it's more. There's a virus, or there's a it's post-apocalyptic. It doesn't have the sword and dragons and magic really that does. It's more a zombie-filled outbreak type situation in the Last of Us world. Um, the scariest part of the games was always the humans. Like the zombies are scary, but it's the humans are scarier.
Mhm.
And it's going to be interesting to see how they differentiate themselves from The Walking Dead, because The Walking Dead kind of played into those tropes as well, like with Negan and who is the guy with the eye patch that at the prison. I
The
can't remember what
governor?
the governor. Yeah, I mean, like the humans had some really sick elements to them in The Walking Dead and stuff. And that's kind of a lot of the same things with the Last of Us game is you do have some scares with the monsters, but it's also just as scary going up against some of the regular humans and the way people choose to survive either by coming together or by, you know, kind of reverting to a evolutionary survival of the fittest type mentality. Um, so it has the potential to be an excellent show. I don't know that it will ever get to Game of Thrones numbers. I think maybe something along the lines of Walking Dead at its peak is a more a kind of target to shoot for. I was interested to see that this casting announcement though, getting back to like the original story we started with, just because Tommy isn't, from my recollection, it's been a few years since I played it, but Tommy isn't a huge part. He's an integral part of the game, of the first game at least. But he isn't a huge part of that game. Like his appearances are sporadic. And so I was surprised to see him cast somebody kind of a big name in that role. Maybe they have more plans for the future. Maybe they plan to expand his role out more, based off of what they're doing with the story. So it was an interesting casting choice, to say the least.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it because I hope they do, like they'll obviously take their liberties as any sort of adaptation does, you know? The good thing is these are video game stories, so, like, these ones in particular actually had a very large, long story, so there's, like, a lot of it kinda like Game of Thrones where you can, like, take directly from the source material, and there's enough there to actually do a pretty good, like, one-to-one for a lot of it, but they can't do it, like, totally because a lot of the game is based around gameplay, but I'm looking forward to it. I had a point that I was getting to, and it totally just left me. So I'm just gonna leave it at that. I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah,
I'm looking
Yeah,
forward to it.
sounds like it'll be
same.
cool.
So we'll see. Question is, guys, what do you think about Gabriel Luna being cast in here as Tommy? Do you think he's gonna have a bit bigger of a role? I think what I was gonna say is this is what I was gonna say. I remember now, like all things they do, like any adaptation, like the filmmakers or the showrunners are going to take their own liberties to it, right? You know, like the MCU isn't exactly like the comics, but they take some stuff and then they make it their own. The only thing that I hope they take away that is exactly like the game for this season, season 1, is the damn opening. The show better open the same way the game opens. Yeah, John, you've played it, right?
Man.
You remember how the
I
game
mean,
opens, though?
oh man, anybody that's
That's what I'm
played it,
saying.
I don't think you can ever forget that. I mean, it
Yeah.
has one of the most emotional, powerful openings to a game, TV, movie, whatever. You name the type of entertainment, book, magazine, article, I don't care what it is. I'm not sure that there's ever been one that had a more emotionally powerful opening than that. So yeah, I would be shocked if they did not open the series the exact same way.
Yeah, I feel like you have to. It's because even
Yeah,
if they went like further back, that's the only thing I can see him doing is going like further back, maybe showing. I don't want to spoil it for people who haven't played the game, so like
sure.
they can actually see it. But if they go a little bit further, because it's kind of jarring, they put you like right there in the game. It just
Yeah,
happens in front of you. Maybe it's set a little bit further back to like maybe get you more connected to those two characters, maybe, and then it happens. You know what I mean?
yeah,
Maybe I see him do that. Maybe because maybe the whole first episode is set up to the end of the first episode, then that happens, as
yeah.
opposed to you're just kind of there already. I could see him doing that, which I don't know if it would be better or worse, but it'd still be powerful. It might honestly be worse if they show like a like montage of all this happy-go-lucky stuff pretty much for 45 minutes. Then the last 15 is what happens at the beginning of the game.
Honestly, I would be perfectly fine if the opening, if the first episode was just if they just lifted everything
Oh yeah.
from that opening segment of the game, the prelude of the game. I mean, if that's their first episode, I think you've got a genius episode right there that hooks most people.
Yeah, it definitely would because it hooked everybody who played the game, and I think that's one of the main reasons, like, you didn't stop playing the game. Like, you know what I mean? Because that happens immediately, and you're
Yeah.
already instantly connected and motivated to to move on, like to see what happens. So, question is, guys, what do you think about Gabriel Luna again being cast as Tommy in this? And do you think they're going to open the show exactly the same way as the game opens, or you think maybe they'll, put in a little backstory first? Maybe they'll think it'll get you more connected. Maybe they think it's a little too much to like go right in there. But at the same time, it is HBO, so really anything goes. In all honesty, so let us know what you think down in the comments section below.